Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Lunch with Lisa. Sorry, I wasn't quite as ready as I thought. Right, anyway, I am Lisa Warner. I am the author of The Simplicity of Self-Healing. And I teach my clients how to take their health back into their own hands. I teach health sovereignty. I let people know that they have the ability to heal themselves. So today I wanted to talk about quantum. What is quantum? We're body, mind, and soul. And our mind is linear. It works in straight lines. It works in past, present, future, then you die. It works in linear thinking, right and wrong, good and bad. Our mind works on surface appearance of things. The mind gathers data and then judges and compares and tries to make the right decision. So the mind is always looking at the surface appearance of things. The soul, on the other hand, is quantum. The soul exists in multiple layers all at one time. The soul exists as part of the quantum field of energy and consciousness that is in and around all of us. We live in a sea of consciousness, and we are part of that sea. Our soul is part of that sea of consciousness. And when we're operating from the linear mind does not have access to the quantum field of information that the soul has access to. The linear mind works in rules and regulations, the have-tos and the shoulds and the musts. And when it's looking at the surface appearance, it only sees the surface appearance. It doesn't see anything beyond the surface appearance. In this reality, we are the soul. We are not this body, but we've identified ourselves as the body. And we've identified ourselves with this linear mind. And we've identified ourselves with all of these rules that we have to adhere to in order to live right. We have to, hey, Brenda, hey, Michelle. So Michelle's asking, what does quantum mean in easy terms? Quantum means, well, there are many different, many different definitions of quantum. Quantum refers to the tiniest little particles of light that sometimes appear as particles and sometimes appear as wavelengths. But so this entire field of consciousness is a field of light that sometimes exists as wavelengths and sometimes it collapses into a particle. Our bodies are made of this light. Our bodies are this quantum field that is individuated by each of us. We each have our own soul. The soul is individual. It is sovereign. It is completely unique. Your soul is completely different than my soul. But our souls are made of the same quantum material, the same quantum consciousness. But each individual is completely unique, and each individual is whole and complete unto themselves. But as humans, we have been taught that we're not unique, that to be unique is not a good thing. To be unique means that we stand out. And usually the majority of humans don't like to stand out because when we stand out, we get ridiculed. And nobody likes to get ridiculed. No one likes to be the odd man out. So as society, we have turned into this herd. They talk about herd mentality all the time, herd immunity, herd mentality, right? You always want to be part of this herd. what's happened to our health as part of this herd. We have lost our unique individual sovereignty. Hey, Kathy, thanks for joining. We have lost our uniqueness. We have lost our individual ability to create our health. In this quantum field, everything that exists simultaneously as choice within this quantum field. We can choose anything. We can choose to experience anything we desire to experience, including radiant health, including wealth, including happiness. Anything we desire, we have the ability to experience. However, our society has been set up by linear minds. They've been set up with all of these rules about how things work. And the mind has created these rules about how things work based on surface appearances. So we have all of these ideas about, let's see, Brenda, in physics, it refers to particles that are smaller than atoms, subatomic particles. Yes, exactly. Quantum particles, tiny subatomic particles that are sometimes wavelength and sometimes light. So anyway, in this field of infinite potentials, humanity has collapsed all of these potentials down into a bunch of sets of rules about how things work and how we have to live. And these rules do not feel good to the soul. The soul is completely unfettered. The soul has absolutely no rules other than the universal laws of creation, the laws on how the universe works. And how this universe works when it comes to our bodies is that our bodies are designed from this quantum material, from light. Our bodies are literally light. If you put them under a microscope and you look down to the smallest particles that our bodies are made of, they are made of light. Our bodies are designed to be self-sustaining, self-rejuvenating and regenerating, self-healing. It's built right into the design. But as humanity, we have forgotten about that. We have gotten so locked into our linear thinking and the rules that have been created for this society say that doctor knows best. The rules say that the doctors are the experts on your body. Now, as divine sovereign beings, with bodies that are designed to be self-healing, self-regenerating, doesn't it seem that it would be each and every one of us that is the expert on our own body? When we fall into the trap of believing that somebody else or some system has our best interest at heart, there's a red flag right there, because a system doesn't care about anybody. And I'm not talking about doctors and nurses. I'm talking about systems in general. A gigantic faceless system has no interest in the average person, none whatsoever. And when we start trusting our bodies to a system, we give up our sovereignty. We give up our divinity. We give up our ability to manage our own energy. We are quantum beings. We are not the body and we are not the mind. We are the soul. The soul doesn't care about the surface appearance of things. The mind cares about the surface appearance of stuff. The soul cares about energy. The soul looks at energy. It looks at the quantum field of infinite possibilities, and it chooses a possibility that it would like to experience. And then it pulls that into a physical body and sets up a physical lifetime. But then the soul steps back and says, hey, mind and body, you guys figure it out. Have at it. Knock your socks off. Have a great lifetime. And at any point, we can simply open up our awareness and step back into ourselves as the soul. Instead of trying to figure out our health by looking at the surface appearance of what appears to be going wrong with our bodies, we can step back. And as the soul, we can recognize that whatever the physical body is doing it for a reason. And it's doing it to help us survive. The body is designed to help us live a really long, healthy, happy existence. But when we're living in our mind, and we're following all of the rules, and we're looking at the surface appearance without seeing how the surface appearance is being generated, we give up our sovereignty, and we fall into the trap of believing that there's something wrong with our bodies. And we fall into the trap of believing that somebody else knows how to fix us. And we fall into the trap of believing that our bodies need injections, vaccines to make them work better because there's something wrong with them. This is a very, very slippery slope for humanity right now. We are teetering on the brink. It is time for us to go quantum. It is time for us to start listening to the soul. It is time for us to stop looking at only the surface appearance of things. It's time for us to stop listening to the rhetoric. It's time for us to start listening to ourselves. Every answer lies within. Everything you need, you have right here, right now. Everything you need to be healthy and happy, vibrant and alive, you have right now. You, as the soul, have access to everything you desire. But you have to get out of the mind. You have to quiet the mind so you can hear the soul, so that you can start listening to yourself. When you start listening to yourself, you will start hearing all of your answers. When you start listening to yourself above all others, then you can bring yourself back into well-being. You can bring yourself into alignment. We are not meant to live in fear. We are not meant to live in disease. There is nothing wrong with anyone's body. Our bodies are designed to do exactly what they do in response to our linear thinking. In the mind, when we are thinking linearly, we judge and compare. And we think that we have to follow all of the rules. And we are told that we've done it wrong. We should never do this. You can't do that. How many times have you been talked out of something that you really wanted to do because somebody else said, really, you want to do that? You go, oh, well, maybe I shouldn't. Or you say, wow, I want to grow up and I want to be a writer, or I want to sing or dance. And they say, really? How are you going to make a living at that? You can't do that. And then your entire soul purpose goes offline, and we start thinking that we have to follow the other people's rules. This is where all of the dis-ease comes from. So we stop listening to ourselves. We get in the linear, that left mind, that left brain, that linear thinking mind. And we figure we have to do everything exactly the way it's all done everywhere else. We have to follow everybody else's rules. And all we're doing is generating more and more and more dis-ease. And the dis-ease within ourselves turns into the dis-ease in our cells. But the cells are doing whatever they need to do to support us during our conflict, during this time of dis-ease, when we're trying to figure out our life, when we're trying to figure out what to do. Our bodies are in the background supporting us. They're changing, they're doing things to help us. And then when we make peace with whatever it is, we come to a conclusion. We start listening to our soul for a minute and we go, okay, wait a minute. I think we're going to be all right. We go into healing, and the healing is uncomfortable. And it's at that very moment when the body starts to heal itself, we feel some discomfort and we go, uh-oh, there's something wrong with me. We've got it all backwards. The linear mind has it completely backwards. The linear mind has been living in this third dimension for a long time. The third dimension is not quantum. It is linear. It is not quantum. Quantum, have you ever heard of making a quantum leap? It means you can shift your reality in a heartbeat. It's not logical. It's not linear how that happens. That doesn't happen from the linear mind. In the linear mind, it takes time to change. In the quantum, we can simply pick something else and things can change incredibly fast. If not instantly, they can change rapidly. It can change instantly. But we have to be really, really super tuned in to our soul. We have to be tuned into the quantum realm, to the non-physical realm around us, so we can see the energies around us. We can see all of the potentials around us. And so we can start choosing the potentials and start working with the energies to bring those potentials into physical form. So we are body, mind, and soul. The body follows whichever part of us is leading. If we're leading from the mind and we're trying to figure everything out from the mind, and the mind is going around and around in circles, the body has to go around and around in circles to match. But when we're operating in the quantum, when we're operating as the soul, when we're paying attention to the non-physical realms, and we start listening to ourselves, and we start tuning in to who we truly are, then the body follows the soul. There's not a single thing wrong with the soul ever. So when the body is following the soul always knows what to do. The soul always is in alignment. The soul always is in well-being. Guess what happens with the body then? The journey to health is not a journey through a pill. The journey to health is the journey back within. The journey to health is the journey from the mind into the soul, into the heart. When you can quiet the mind and start tuning into the heart of who you are as a being, all of your answers become clear. You can guide yourself back into well-being. You don't need anybody else to do it for you. In fact, nobody else can do that for you. Nobody else can make the journey from the mind into the soul for you. You are the only one that can do that. And guess what? Your body is counting on you to do that. Your body, the health of your body depends on your ability to move from your mind, from the linear thinking, from looking at everything else that's going on in the external reality, letting that all quiet down into the background and tune in to your soul. What do you need as a being? Do you need to run around in fear? Do you need to be injecting your body with all kinds of things? Do you need to be wearing a mask? As a divine, sovereign being of light, you are completely 100% totally free. You don't have to follow what everybody else is doing. In fact, in order to set yourself free, you have to stop following what everybody else is doing. You have to listen to yourself. You have to tune in to your own narrative, not to the narrative of the external world. The external world's narrative does not have anyone's best interest at heart. The external narrative doesn't care about the herd. In fact, the external narrative would love to see the herd slaughtered. In order for you to live a long and healthy, happy life, you need to learn to listen to yourself. You need to start to go quantum. It's time to get out of the linear thinking and watching the surface appearance, because I guarantee you nothing is as it seems on the surface, including your health, including disease. There's nothing wrong with your body, and there never has been anything wrong. There's never been anything wrong with our bodies. But we have been convinced that the symptoms that show up in our bodies mean that there's something wrong. When we flip our thinking and we start to understand what's actually happening with our bodies are mirroring our thoughts. When we get out of that linear mind and into the soul, our thoughts change. Our entire body composition changes. Our DNA changes. Our DNA is quantum. We have 2 strands of physical DNA, and we have 10 strands of non-physical, interdimensional, quantum DNA. We are quantum beings. And it's time for us to return to quantum. It's time for us to start paying attention to the soul, to start listening to who we really are, so that we can stop this external narrative and we can reclaim our sovereignty. We can reclaim our health. We can reclaim our lives. We can reclaim our well-being. Now is the time to start listening. Carol, thanks for watching. Hi, Kathy. Carol says, this is so good. I understand it. It makes perfect sense. Woohoo! I love it when it makes sense. Great. So please, everybody, start tuning in inside, turn off the TV and tune in to your own channel. Tune into the station of you. Tune in to the quantum field of infinite possibilities. And what would you like to experience? Anything you can imagine, you can experience. But you have to imagine it, you have to focus on it, and you have to bring it into the physical by focusing. Hey, Kinsey, thanks for joining today. Awesome. So for each and every one of us, we are quantum beings, and there is nothing wrong with any of us, ever. And don't ever let somebody tell you that there's something wrong with you. Don't believe that. And don't believe the stories that say if you're not wearing a mask, you're trying to kill other people. The only one who can kill you is you. We are each divine sovereign beings, and our bodies directly follow the narrative that we are telling. If we're listening to everybody else's narrative, our body is hanging out in the wind. We are hanging ourselves out to dry. When we tune in and we listen to our own narrative, we listen to what we need as a soul to feel fulfilled and happy and healthy. We turn everything around. We take our lives and our beautiful planet Earth back and create heaven on earth. Heaven on earth is available to each and every one of us right here, right now. But we have to tune out the narrative from the external world. And we have to tune in to the heaven on earth that exists inside. It's already inside. We need to just bring it forth to the outside. So it's time to start listening to the soul. Turn off the TV and tune in to your own channel, at least for part of the day. Okay, so if you're struggling with your health, if you would like to take your health back into your own hands, if you would like to step out of the system and step into your own narrative and create your own health, then please reach out to me. This is where I specialize. I've already done this for myself, and I show my clients how to do this as well. So if you're having trouble, just simply reach out. You can find me at my website, connectingyoutoyou.com. My videos are on YouTube. Lisa Warner, The Simplicity of Self-Healing on YouTube. My book is called The Simplicity of Self-Healing. It's available on Amazon.com and on Facebook. I have a Facebook group called Soul Sourced Healing. Please come join me. If you're not part of the group, come on in, join the group. Be happy to have you. And if you need help, please feel free to messenger me or reach me through my website. And I'll be more than happy to show you how I can help you take your health back into your own hands. Kathy, like way too many radio stations blaring out right now. That's it, exactly. Tune into your own station, because inside there is nothing wrong with you. Well-being exists within. So till next week, thanks for joining me, and create for yourselves a great week. Bye for now.